The text messages lit up my phone screen like warning flares in the dark. I stared at them, my coffee cup halfway to my lips, as my husband Raymond's words scrolled across the display with increasing urgency. Don't answer the door. I'm serious, Diane. If Trevor shows up, do not let him in. Diane, answer me. I set down my cup slowly on the kitchen counter, the ceramic making a soft clink against the marble. Through the front window, I could see a silver sedan pulling into our driveway. A tall man in a blue button-down shirt stepped out, carrying a manila folder under his arm. He looked nothing like a threat. He looked tired. My phone buzzed again. Raymond's photo appeared on the screen, his smile from our vacation last year now feeling like it belonged to a stranger. I let it go to voicemail. The doorbell rang. I'd been married to Raymond for 15 years. 15 years of being the dutiful wife, the supporter of his career, the one who smiled at his business dinners and never asked too many questions when he worked late. 15 years of trust that I'd built my entire adult life around. But standing there in my kitchen, looking at those frantic texts, something cold settled in my stomach. It wasn't fear. It was clarity. If Raymond was this desperate to keep his friend Trevor away from me, then Trevor had something Raymond didn't want me to know. And after 15 years of being kept in the dark about so many things, maybe it was time to turn on the lights. I walked to the front door, my bare feet silent on the hardwood floors Raymond had insisted we install last year. The expensive ones that cost more than my first car. I'd wanted to save that money, put it toward our future, but Raymond said we deserved nice things. Through the frosted glass panel, I could see Trevor's silhouette. He rang the bell again, more gently this time. My phone exploded with calls. Raymond. Then a text. Diane, please. Trust me on this. Don't let him in. I'll explain everything when I get home. I turned the deadbolt. The click echoed louder than it should have. It felt final, like something breaking or maybe something opening. I pulled the door wide. Trevor stood on my porch, and up close I could see the exhaustion carved into his face. His eyes were red-rimmed, his jaw tight. He looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. He looked like a man carrying a weight too heavy for one person. Mrs. Diane Foster? He asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Yes. You're Trevor. I am. He shifted the folder in his hands. I know Raymond told you not to talk to me. I'm guessing he's calling you right now. My phone buzzed against my palm like an angry insect. I silenced it without looking. He is, I said. Which makes me very interested in why you're here. Something flickered across Trevor's face. Relief maybe. Or recognition. Can I come in? He asked. What I need to show you shouldn't be discussed on your front porch. I should have been afraid. A strange man, my husband's frantic warnings, the setup of every thriller movie I'd ever watched. But fear wasn't what I felt. I felt anger starting to bubble up from somewhere deep, somewhere I'd kept locked down for years. Come in, I said, stepping aside. Trevor walked past me into the foyer. He took in the expensive art Raymond had bought last month, the chandelier that cost more than a semester of college tuition, the life we'd built that suddenly felt like it was constructed on sand. My phone wouldn't stop. Call after call. Text after text. Should you answer that? Trevor asked quietly. No, I said, and I meant it. Would you like coffee? You look like you need it. I would, thank you. We walked to the kitchen together, this stranger and I poured him a cup from the pot I'd made just minutes ago, back when my biggest concern was whether to go to the grocery store before or after my afternoon yoga class. Trevor sat at the kitchen island. He placed the manila folder on the counter between us but didn't open it yet. His hands were shaking slightly. How long have you known my husband? I asked, taking the seat across from him. 8 years. We've been business partners for 6 of those. Business partners. The words felt strange. Raymond said you were just friends. That you met at the gym. Trevor's jaw tightened. That's one of many things Raymond has lied to you about. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Raymond's mother, Eleanor. Diane, dear, Raymond is very upset. Please call him. He says there's been a misunderstanding. I turned my phone face down on the counter. Show me, I said. Trevor opened the folder. He pulled out the first document and slid it toward me. It was a bank statement. Not from any account I recognized. This is an account Raymond opened 3 years ago, Trevor said. I only found out about it 2 weeks ago when I was going through our business finances. He's been embezzling from our company. The numbers on the page swam before my eyes. Deposits. Withdrawals. Transfers. Thousands of dollars moving in patterns I didn't understand. Why are you showing me this? My voice came out steadier than I felt. Because half that money belongs to you, Trevor said. And because you deserve to know what he's been using it for. He pulled out another document. A lease agreement. For an apartment in the city, 40 minutes from our suburban home. The leaseholder was Raymond Foster. The co-signer was someone named Candace Webb. My hands went numb. Who is Candace Webb? I heard myself ask. Trevor's expression was gentle, pitying. I hated that look. I'd seen it before on faces at parties when other wives talked about their failing marriages, never imagining I'd be the one on the receiving end. She's the woman Raymond has been living with 3 days a week for the past 2 years, Trevor said quietly. She thinks she's his girlfriend. She has no idea he's married. The kitchen tilted slightly. I gripped the counter edge. How do you know this? Trevor pulled out photographs. Raymond and a beautiful woman with long auburn hair. Raymond and this woman at restaurants. At the beach. One photo showed them kissing outside the apartment building. I hired a private investigator, Trevor said. After I found the financial discrepancies, I needed to know what was going on. I'm sorry, Diane. I wish I didn't have to be the one to tell you. My phone rang again. Raymond. Always Raymond, trying to control the narrative, trying to keep me in the dark. Why did he panic when he found out you were coming here? I asked. Because I told him this morning that I was done covering for him. I told him he had 24 hours to tell you the truth or I would. He clearly didn't think I'd actually do it. Trevor reached across the counter but stopped short of touching my hand. I know we don't know each other. But I couldn't stay silent anymore. He's stolen from both of us, Diane. From you emotionally and financially, from me professionally. And I'm tired of being part of his lies. I looked down at the documents spread across my kitchen counter. Evidence of a life I didn't know existed. Evidence of a husband I'd never really known at all. Does she know? I asked. Candace. Does she know about me? Trevor hesitated. The investigator found texts. She found out about 6 months ago. Raymond convinced her you were separated, that the divorce was nearly final, that he just needed a few more months to handle the legal details. But we're not separated. No, you're not. My phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. I didn't need to listen to know what it said. More lies. More manipulation. More of Raymond trying to convince me that what I was seeing wasn't real. What else is in that folder? I asked. Trevor looked at me with something like respect. Everything. Credit card statements showing purchases for her. Hotel receipts from trips you probably thought were business travel. More financial records. Phone records. Everything you'll need if you decide to take legal action. If I decide? A laugh escaped me, sharp and bitter. What choice do I have? You always have a choice, Trevor said. Some women choose to stay. To work through it. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to make sure you have the information you need to make that choice. I pulled the folder toward me and began going through each document slowly. Trevor sat quietly, sipping his coffee, letting me process. Each piece of paper was another crack in the foundation of my marriage. Another lie revealed. Another moment of my life that had been stolen and given to someone else. Outside, I heard a car door slam. Through the window, I saw Raymond's black SUV in the driveway. He must have left work the moment I stopped answering his calls. He's here, I said. Trevor stood up. Do you want me to leave? I looked at this man who'd had the courage to tell me the truth, even though it cost him nothing to stay silent. Who'd had the decency to treat me like an adult who deserved to know what was happening in her own life. No, I said. I want you to stay. The front door burst open. Raymond stood in the hallway, his face red, his chest heaving like he'd been running. Get out of my house, he said to Trevor, not even looking at me. It's my house too, I said quietly. And he's my guest. Raymond's eyes finally landed on me. I saw the calculation there, the rapid assessment of how much damage had been done, how much he could still salvage. Diane, honey, listen to me, he started, his voice shifting to that gentle tone he used when he wanted something. Trevor is angry about some business disagreements. He's trying to cause problems between us. Whatever he told you is lies. I picked up one of the photographs. Raymond and Candace at a restaurant I'd never been to, though I recognized the watch on his wrist because I'd given it to him for our anniversary. When was this taken? I asked, holding up the photo. Raymond's face went pale. That's not what it looks like. It looks like you're having dinner with another woman while wearing the watch I gave you to celebrate 15 years of marriage. Diane, please. He took a step toward me, but I held up my hand. Don't, I said. Don't come closer. Don't touch me. And most importantly, don't lie to me anymore. Trevor quietly gathered the documents back into the folder and handed it to me. I'll go now, he said. My number is in there if you need anything. And Diane? I'm sorry. You deserve better than this. He walked past Raymond without a word, and I heard the front door close softly behind him. Raymond and I stood in our expensive kitchen, surrounded by all the things he'd bought with money that should have been ours, in a house that had never really been a home. How long? I asked. It's not what you think. How long, Raymond? He slumped against the counter. The mask was cracking. 2 years. But I love you, Diane. I never stopped loving you. Candace was just a mistake that got out of hand. I was going to end it. I swear I was. 2 years. 2 years of lies. 2 years of coming home to me after being with her. 2 years of letting me believe we were building a future while he was living a double life. Get out, I said. Diane, we can work through this. Couples therapy, whatever you want. Just don't throw away 15 years because of one mistake. One mistake that lasted 2 years? I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. One mistake that involved stealing from your business partner? One mistake that included buying her gifts with our money? Which part of this 2-year-long mistake should I forgive, Raymond? I'll end it today. Right now. I'll call her right in front of you and end it. No, I said. You'll pack a bag and you'll leave. Tonight. Now. This is my house too. Then we'll let the lawyers sort that out. But you're not sleeping here tonight. You're not sleeping here ever again. Raymond stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Maybe he was. Maybe he'd never actually looked at me as a person before, just as someone who was supposed to be there, accepting whatever scraps of his life he offered. You're making a mistake, he said. No, I replied, feeling something like strength flowing back into my bones. I'm correcting one. Raymond left that night with a single suitcase and a look of disbelief etched across his face. He'd spent an hour trying different tactics, cycling through anger, tears, and bargaining. I'd sat at the kitchen table, silent, watching him perform. Because that's what it was. A performance. Just like our entire marriage had been. After his car pulled out of the driveway, I sat in the quiet house and cried. Not for Raymond. Not for our marriage. I cried for the version of myself who'd believed in all of it. The woman who'd trusted completely. The wife who'd thought she knew her husband. That woman was gone now. I spent the night going through Trevor's folder, documenting everything on my laptop. Every receipt. Every bank statement. Every photograph that showed Raymond building a life I knew nothing about. The evidence painted a picture of systematic deception that must have taken tremendous effort to maintain. At 6 a.m. I called my sister Rochelle. Diane. Her voice was groggy with sleep. Is everything okay? Raymond's been having an affair for 2 years. He's been stealing money from his business. He has an apartment with her in the city. I need you. Rochelle lived 3 hours away. She arrived at my door by 9:30 a.m. with 2 large coffees and a fierce expression. Where is he? She asked, walking through my front door like she was ready for battle. I made him leave last night. Rochelle pulled me into a hug. She smelled like her lavender soap in home. Good. I never liked him anyway. That startled a laugh out of me. You said you loved him at my wedding. I love that you were happy. There's a difference. She set down her coffee and studied my face. Have you slept? No. Eden? No. Then we start there. You can't make decisions on an empty stomach and no sleep. She moved through my kitchen with purpose, making scrambled eggs and toast while I sat at the counter and watched. Rochelle had always been the practical one, the problem solver, the sister who saw the world clearly while I'd been content to drift through it. Tell me everything, she said, sliding a plate in front of me. So I did. I told her about Trevor showing up, about the folder full of evidence, about Candace Webb in the apartment and the 2 years of lies. I showed her the documents spread across my dining room table. She went through each one methodically, her face growing harder with each page. This isn't just an affair, she said finally. This is fraud. Identity theft. He took out credit cards in your name? I nodded toward a stack of papers. 3 of them. All maxed out. I had no idea. Rochelle's hands clenched into fists. He's destroyed your credit. Do you know what this means for you financially? Not entirely. That's why I need a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. Rochelle pulled out her phone. I know someone. Patricia Moss. She handled my friend Jennifer's divorce last year. The husband tried to hide assets in offshore accounts. Patricia found every penny and took him apart in court. I don't want revenge, I said quietly. I just want out. Diane, look at me. Rochelle's voice was firm. This isn't about revenge. This is about protecting yourself. Raymond has been systematically stealing from you for years. If you don't fight back, he'll leave you with nothing but debt and bad credit. Is that what you want? I looked down at my plate. The eggs were getting cold. No. Then we call Patricia. Today. Patricia Moss agreed to see me that afternoon. Her office was in downtown Chicago, in one of those gleaming towers that made you feel small just standing in the lobby. Rochelle came with me, her hand firm on my shoulder as we rode the elevator to the 23rd floor. Patricia's office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She was in her late 50s, with silver hair cut and a sharp bob and eyes that missed nothing. She didn't offer sympathy or platitudes. She offered me a seat and a bottle of water and got straight to business. "Tell me why you're here," she said. I walked her through everything. She took notes on a legal pad, occasionally asking clarifying questions, but mostly letting me talk. When I finished, she set down her pen. "Do you have documentation of all this?" I handed her Trevor's folder. She went through it page by page, her expression unchanging. When she reached the photographs, she paused. "Did you know this woman before yesterday?" "No." "Has Raymond tried to contact you since you asked him to leave?" 17 times. I showed her my phone. Missed calls. Text messages. Voicemails I hadn't listened to. "Don't respond to any of it," Patricia said. "Not yet. Every communication from this point forward goes through me or gets documented for court." "Understood." "Yes." "Good." She closed the folder. "Here's what we're looking at. This is a high-asset divorce with complications. The embezzlement from his business is a criminal matter. The credit cards in your name constitute identity theft. The hidden accounts and the affair show a pattern of financial abuse and deception." "What does that mean for me?" "It means we have leverage," Patricia said. "It means Raymond is going to have a very difficult time in divorce court. And it means you need to act quickly to protect your interests before he has time to hide more assets or create more debt in your name." "What do I do?" Patricia pulled out a fresh legal pad and began writing. "First, we freeze all joint accounts. Today. Second, you file a police report about the credit card fraud. Third, we get a credit freeze on your social security number. Fourth, we file for divorce and request immediate temporary orders for support and exclusive use of the marital home." My hands were shaking. "This is really happening." "Yes," Patricia said, not unkindly. "It is. And I know it's frightening. But you're doing the right thing. He's going to fight this." "Of course he is. Men like Raymond always fight when they lose control." Patricia leaned forward. "But here's what you need to understand, Diane. You hold all the cards right now. You have documentation he doesn't know exists. You have a witness in his business partner. You have evidence of crimes. Raymond's position is indefensible. What if he tries to turn this around on me somehow?" "How?" Patricia's eyebrows raised. "You've been faithful. You've committed no crimes. You've done nothing wrong. There's nothing to turn around." She made it sound so simple. So clear-cut. But inside I felt like I was falling apart. 15 years of my life had been built on lies, and now I had to dismantle it all piece by piece. "I need you to be strong," Patricia said, reading my expression. "Can you do that?" I thought about Raymond's face last night when I told him to leave. The surprise. The disbelief that I'd actually stand up to him. He'd gotten so comfortable with my compliance, my trust, my willingness to believe whatever he told me. "Yes," I said. "I can." We spent the next 2 hours going through everything. Patricia drafted a list of immediate actions. Contact the banks. File the police report. Change the locks on the house. Document everything Raymond took with him. Keep a log of all contact attempts. When we finished, my head was spinning with instructions and legal terminology, but I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt like I had control over my own life. Rochelle drove me home. We stopped at the bank first, where a sympathetic manager helped me freeze our joint accounts and open new ones in my name only. She looked at the police report Patricia had prepared and shook her head. "I see this more than you'd think," she said quietly. "I'm sorry you're going through it." At the police station, a detective named Officer Brianna Thompson took my statement. She was young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and a firm handshake. "Identity theft between spouses is complicated," she said after reviewing the credit card statements. "But it's still theft. We'll investigate." "What happens to him?" I asked. "That depends on what we find and whether the credit card companies want to press charges." She looked at me carefully. "Are you safe? Has he threatened you or shown any signs of violence?" "No. Nothing like that." "Good. But if that changes, you call 911 immediately. And consider getting a protective order." I hadn't even thought about that. Raymond had never been physically threatening, but then again I'd never challenged him before. I didn't know what he was capable of when cornered. Back at home, Rochelle and I changed all the locks. She brought a locksmith friend who had the whole house rekeyed within an hour. I handed Rochelle a spare key but kept the rest myself. What if he shows up? I asked as the locksmith packed up his tools. Then you call the police, Rochelle said firmly. This is your home. He gave up his right to be here when he chose to build a life with someone else. After the locksmith left, we ordered takeout and sat in my living room. I kept looking at my phone, at the accumulating messages from Raymond. We need to talk. You're being unreasonable. I made a mistake, but this is extreme. My lawyer says you can't freeze me out of our accounts. Diane, please. I love you. He doesn't love you, Rochelle said, reading over my shoulder. He loves what you represented. Stability. Respectability. Someone to come home to when he was tired of playing house with his girlfriend. How did I not see it? I asked. 2 years, Rochelle. How did I miss 2 years of lies? Because you trusted him. Because that's what marriage is supposed to be built on. You're not stupid for believing your husband. He's reprehensible for betraying you. My phone rang. Not Raymond this time. An unknown number. I answered hesitantly. Mrs. Foster? A woman's voice, unfamiliar. Yes. This is Candace Webb. I think we need to talk. My heart dropped into my stomach. Rochelle leaned closer, listening. I don't think we have anything to discuss, I said carefully. Please. I just found out you existed. Raymond told me you were divorced. I never would have gotten involved if I'd known he was lying. What do you want from me, Candace? I want to know what's true. He's saying you're crazy, that you're making things up, that you're trying to ruin him out of spite. But I saw the documents. Someone sent me copies. Photos of you and him at events. Your wedding photo. He's been lying to both of us. I closed my eyes. Yes, he has. Can we meet? Face to face? I need to understand what happened. No, I said. I'm sorry, but no. Whatever relationship you had with Raymond is between you and him. I want nothing to do with either of you. But we're both victims here. Maybe we are. But that doesn't mean we need to bond over it. You need to figure out your own path forward. I'm figuring out mine. Separately. He said he loves me, Candace's voice cracked. He said we were going to get married. He told me he loved me too, I said quietly. He's been telling me that for 15 years. So I guess we both learned that Raymond's love isn't worth very much. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. That took guts, Rochelle said. She wanted me to feel sorry for her. Do you? I thought about it. Did I feel sorry for Candace Webb, the woman who'd been sleeping with my husband for 2 years? The woman who'd accepted his gifts bought with our money? Who'd lived in an apartment he'd rented while I'd been home alone wondering why he worked so late? No, I said finally. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with them. That night, after Rochelle went to bed in the guest room, I sat up looking through photo albums. Pictures of Raymond and me on our honeymoon. At family gatherings. Birthdays and holidays and ordinary moments that had seemed meaningful at the time. Had any of it been real? Had he ever actually loved me, or had I just been convenient? A placeholder in the life he was supposed to have while he pursued what he actually wanted? I'd never know the answer. And I realized, sitting there at 2 a.m. surrounded by photographs of a marriage that had been a lie, that it didn't matter. What mattered was moving forward. What mattered was rebuilding a life that was actually mine. My phone buzzed one more time. Raymond again. You're going to regret this. I looked at those words for a long moment. Then I blocked his number and finally went to bed. The next morning, Patricia's office called before I'd finished my first cup of coffee. Raymond had been served with divorce papers at his office. According to the process server, he'd turned red, crumpled the papers, and thrown them across the room before storming out. That's a good sign, Patricia said over the phone. How is that good? I asked, watching Rochelle make breakfast in my kitchen. Because he's emotional. Emotional people make mistakes. We want him off balance and angry. Angry people say things they shouldn't. They make financial moves that expose what they're trying to hide. So what happens now? Now we wait for his response. He has 30 days to file an answer. In the meantime, we keep digging. The private investigator I use is going to do a comprehensive asset search. I want to know about every bank account, every investment, every piece of property Raymond might have hidden. You think there's more? There's always more, Patricia said. Men who lie about one thing lie about everything. We need to assume he's been hiding assets from the beginning and work backwards. After I hung up, Rochelle slid a plate of pancakes in front of me. You need to eat. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. You can't let yourself fall apart. I picked at the food while Rochelle sat across from me, nursing her coffee. She'd taken a week off work to stay with me and I was grateful. The house felt too big and too empty without her presence. What are you thinking about? She asked. Everything. Nothing. I don't know. I set down my fork. I keep wondering if there were signs I missed. Times when I should have questioned things. Don't do that to yourself. How can I not? 2 years, Rochelle. He had an entire second life for 2 years. Because he's a practiced liar. Because he knew exactly what to say to keep you from questioning anything. She reached across the table and gripped my hand. This is not your fault. My laptop chimed with an email notification. Patricia's investigator, someone named Frank Chin, wanted to set up a meeting. Could I come to his office tomorrow? I wrote back confirming. Tomorrow felt like a lifetime away but also much too soon. I wasn't sure I was ready to know what else Raymond had been hiding. The doorbell rang at noon. Through the window I saw Trevor standing on my porch. He looked nervous, like he wasn't sure he should be there. I opened the door. Hi. I probably should have called first. He shifted his weight from foot to foot. I wanted to check on you. See if you needed anything. Come in, I said, stepping aside. Trevor followed me into the living room. Rochelle appeared in the doorway, giving him a long, assessing look before nodding and disappearing back into the kitchen. That's my sister, I explained. She's protective. Good. You need people on your side right now. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. Trevor looked like he hadn't slept much either. His shirt was wrinkled and there were dark circles under his eyes. How's the business? I asked. Complicated. My lawyer is working on dissolving the partnership. Raymond's fighting it, of course, claiming I'm trying to steal from him. Trevor laughed bitterly. The irony isn't lost on me. Can he actually win? No. The evidence is clear. But he can make it expensive and drawn out. Which is what he's doing. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve to get dragged into all this. Trevor looked at me steadily. Neither did you. We sat in silence for a moment. It should have been awkward, this man who'd upended my life sitting in my living room, but somehow it wasn't. Trevor had given me the truth when no one else would. That created a strange kind of bond. Has Candace tried to contact you again? He asked. How did you know about that? Raymond told my lawyer. He's trying to paint some picture of the two of you conspiring against him. Like you're in league together or something. She called once. I told her I wanted nothing to do with either of them. Good. She's been calling me too. Crying, asking if what Raymond told her about you being crazy is true. What did you tell her? That she should probably stop believing anything Raymond says. Trevor rubbed his face. She's young, Diane. 26. I don't think she really understood what she was getting into. That's not my problem. No, it's not. I just wanted you to know she seems genuinely shocked. For what it's worth. I thought about that. Candace Webb, 26 years old, probably thinking she'd found love with a successful businessman who promised her the world. Not realizing he was promising her things that belonged to someone else. How old did she think Raymond was? I asked suddenly. Trevor looked surprised by the question. I don't know. Why? He's 43. Gray at the temples, lines around his eyes. Did he lie about his age too? I have no idea. But knowing Raymond, probably. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the quiet street. He's constructed an entire false life. A different apartment, a different relationship, probably a different version of himself. How does someone do that? Carefully, Trevor said. And with a lot of practice lying. Rochelle brought us coffee. She didn't say anything, just set the cups down and squeezed my shoulder before leaving again. Your sister is good people, Trevor observed. She is. She dropped everything to come here. I sat back down. Trevor, can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you tell me? You could have just dissolved the partnership quietly. You could have kept my name out of it entirely. Why risk getting involved? Trevor was quiet for a long moment. Because I was married once, he said finally. My wife cheated on me with my best friend. They carried on for a year before I found out. And you know what the worst part was? What? Everyone knew. All our mutual friends knew. They saw them together at places. They heard them laughing about how stupid I was. And no one told me. Not one person had the courage to tell me the truth. I'm sorry. When I finally found out, I asked one of those friends why they didn't say anything. She told me it wasn't her place. That it wasn't her business. That I would have shot the messenger. Trevor's voice was hard. She was probably right. But I still deserved to know. So you told me because someone should have told you. Yeah. And because you seemed like a good person who deserved better than being lied to by everyone in her life. I felt tears prickling my eyes. Thank you. I mean that. Thank you for being brave enough to tell me. You're welcome. And Diane? You're handling this with a lot more grace than I did. What did you do? Burned her clothes in the driveway. Keyed my best friend's car. Got drunk for 3 months straight. He smiled grimly. I don't recommend any of it. I'll keep that in mind. Trevor stood to leave. If you need anything, even just to talk, call me. I know this is messy and I'm technically in the middle of it all, but you're not alone in this. After he left, Rochelle came back into the living room. I like him. He's Raymond's business partner. So? He's the one who told you the truth. That counts for something. He's involved in the legal mess now too. It would be weird. I'm not suggesting you date him, Diane. I'm just saying it's nice that someone is on your side. Was he on my side? Or was he just someone else caught in Raymond's web of lies? I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. My phone rang. An unknown number, but when I answered, it was Patricia. We have a problem, she said without preamble. My stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Raymond emptied his personal bank account this morning. $78,000. He withdrew it in cash before we could freeze it. Can he do that? He already did. It's going to look bad for him in court, but the money's gone. And there's more. He's applied for a home equity line of credit on your house. The application was submitted 2 days before you kicked him out. I sat down hard on the couch. How much? $300,000. The house is worth about $600, you owe $200 on the mortgage. He's trying to pull out the equity. Can he do that without my signature? He has your signature, Patricia said. Or at least a very good forgery. I'm having it examined now. He forged my signature. I said it out loud, trying to make it real. He forged my signature to steal $300,000 from our house. We're going to stop it. But Diane, this shows the level of planning involved. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment affair. This was systematic financial abuse going back years. After I hung up, I told Rochelle everything. She listened with her jaw clenched tight, her knuckles white around her coffee cup. He's going to prison, she said flatly. When this is all over, Raymond is going to prison. I just wanted a divorce. Well, he's giving you a lot more than that. He's giving you evidence of fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft. Patricia is right. This is systematic. What if I'd never found out? The thought hit me suddenly. What if Trevor hadn't come to the door? Raymond would have taken that home equity line and I never would have known until it was too late. But Trevor did come. And you did find out. And now we fight back. I spent the rest of the day with Patricia's investigator's assistant on the phone, going through years of financial records. Every credit card statement, every bank deposit, every check written. We found more evidence of the double life. Payments to jewelry stores I'd never received gifts from. Restaurant charges for dinners I'd never attended. Hotel rooms in cities I'd never visited. By the time Rochelle insisted I stop for the day, I had a headache that felt like someone had driven nails into my skull. But I also had something else. I had clarity about exactly who I'd been married to. Not the man who'd promised to love and cherish me. Not the partner who was supposed to be building a life with me. I'd been married to a con artist who'd seen me as a mark, a resource to be exploited, a cover for his real life. That night, I dreamed I was in a house made of glass. Raymond was outside, throwing stones, trying to break in. But every time a stone hit the glass, the walls got stronger instead of shattering. I woke up feeling strange but somehow more grounded than I had in days. Rochelle was already up, making coffee. You slept for 10 hours, she said when I emerged from my bedroom. I did. First time since this started. How do you feel? I thought about it. Angry, I said finally. Really, really angry. Good, Rochelle said, handing me a coffee cup. Angry is better than sad. Angry gets things done. She was right. I was done crying. Done wondering what I'd done wrong. Done questioning myself. Raymond had made his choices. Now it was time to make mine. Patricia scheduled the first official meeting with Raymond and his lawyer for Thursday afternoon. 3 days of waiting, 3 days of preparing, 3 days of Raymond's lawyer sending increasingly aggressive letters claiming I was being unreasonable and vindictive. On Wednesday night, Rochelle helped me pick out what to wear. We settled on a blue suit I'd bought for a job interview years ago but never had occasion to wear. It made me look professional, put together, nothing like the crumbling mess I'd been the week before. You look like someone not to be messed with, Rochelle said approvingly. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's just adrenaline. You're going to be fine. Patricia will handle the legal stuff. You just need to sit there and not let Raymond get to you. What if he tries to talk to me? Then you look at Patricia and let her shut it down. That's what you're paying her for. We arrived at Patricia's office at 1:45 p.m. Raymond and his lawyer were already in the conference room, visible through the glass walls. Raymond wore a charcoal suit that I'd helped him pick out last year. He looked tired and angry. His lawyer, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses, was typing on a laptop. Ready? Patricia asked, appearing at my elbow. As I'll ever be. We walked into the conference room together. Raymond's eyes locked on me immediately, and I saw something flicker across his face. Surprise maybe. Like he'd expected me to look defeated and was thrown by my composure. Let's begin, Patricia said, taking a seat across from Raymond's lawyer. I sat next to her, my hands folded on the table, breathing slowly to keep my heart rate under control. My client would like to propose a reconciliation, Raymond's lawyer began. He believes this situation has been blown out of proportion and that with appropriate counseling, the marriage can be saved. Absolutely not, Patricia said before I could respond. My client has no interest in reconciliation. This meeting is to discuss the terms of the divorce and the division of assets. Raymond leaned forward. Diane, please. Can we just talk? Alone? Without the lawyers. No, I said. My voice came out steady, strong. Anything you need to say to me can be said in front of our lawyers. I love you. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but I love you. You forged my signature to steal $300,000 from our house, I said flatly. You opened credit cards in my name. You embezzled from your business. You maintained a relationship with another woman for 2 years. Which part of that is love, Raymond? His face went red. I was going to tell you everything. I just needed time to figure out how. You had 2 years to figure it out. You chose not to. Patricia cut in smoothly. Let's focus on the matter at hand. We're here to discuss asset division and support. Mr. Foster has substantial income, and my client is entitled to appropriate spousal support during the divorce proceedings. Raymond's lawyer adjusted his glasses. My client disputes the characterization of his income. He's currently facing business difficulties due to the dissolution of his partnership. Business difficulties he created through embezzlement, Patricia countered. Which we have documented extensively. Those are accusations without proof. Patricia slid a folder across the table. Bank statements showing regular transfers from the business account to a personal account over 3 years. Text messages discussing the transfers. Witness testimony from Mr. Trevor Hayes. Would you like me to continue? Raymond's lawyer opened the folder. His expression didn't change, but I saw his jaw tighten slightly. We'll need to review this. Of course. We'll give you 48 hours. In the meantime, we're requesting temporary orders for spousal support of $8,000 monthly and exclusive use of the marital home. $8,000 is excessive, Raymond burst out. I can't afford that. You can afford an apartment in the city and gifts for your girlfriend, but you can't afford to support your wife? Patricia's tone was icy. Let's not insult everyone's intelligence, Mr. Foster. The meeting went on for another hour. Raymond's lawyer tried various tactics, suggesting I was being vindictive, claiming Raymond's income was less than it was, implying I'd known about the affair and was only upset now because I wanted money. Patricia dismantled each argument methodically, presenting evidence and documentation that made Raymond's position look worse with each exchange. Finally, Raymond himself seemed to crack. Fine. Take everything. Take the house, take the money. I don't care anymore. I just want this over with. That's not how this works, his lawyer said sharply. We need to discuss this in private. What's there to discuss? She's taking everything anyway. Mr. Foster, I strongly advise you not to make any statements without consulting with me first. But Raymond wasn't listening. He was staring at me with something like hatred in his eyes. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Destroying my life. I'm protecting myself from someone who's been destroying my life for years, I said calmly. There's a difference. I gave you everything. This house, the cars, the lifestyle. Everything you have is because of me. Everything I have is half mine by law. And you were giving the same things to Candace while I thought we were building a future. She's not you. She was never you. Then why did you spend 2 years with her? Raymond opened his mouth, closed it, then stood abruptly. I need air. He walked out of the conference room before his lawyer could stop him. Patricia looked at me. Are you okay? Yes. Actually, yes. That wasn't as bad as I thought. He's unraveling, Raymond's lawyer said quietly, closing his laptop. I apologize. That was unprofessional. Your client is in a difficult position, Patricia said, not unkindly. I'd suggest you encourage him to accept reasonable terms before this gets even more complicated. After they left, Patricia and I sat in the conference room. Through the window, I could see Raymond pacing in the parking lot, phone pressed to his ear. That went well, Patricia said. It did. Very well. He admitted to the double life in front of witnesses. His lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. And he's showing clear signs of someone who's losing control of the narrative. What happens now? We wait for their response to our discovery requests. Continue documenting everything. And prepare for the possibility that Raymond gets desperate. What does desperate look like? Threatening texts. Showing up at your house. Trying to access joint accounts. These types of situations can escalate when the person losing control realizes they really are losing. A chill ran down my spine. You think he'd hurt me? I think you should be careful. Change your routines. Don't be alone if you can help it. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, call 911. That night, back at home, I couldn't shake the image of Raymond's face when he'd said I was destroying his life. The anger there. The accusation. Like I was the villain in this story, not the victim. Rochelle ordered Chinese food and we ate in front of the TV, watching mindless sitcoms and not talking about the day. But at 10 p.m. my phone buzzed. Raymond, from a new number I hadn't blocked yet. We need to talk. Just you and me. No lawyers. Tomorrow at noon. The coffee shop on Main Street. Please, Diane. If you ever loved me, give me this chance. I showed the text to Rochelle. She shook her head. Don't go. What if he's ready to be reasonable? He'll be reasonable in front of his lawyer. This is a trap, Diane. He wants to manipulate you without witnesses. Or maybe he wants closure. Then he can get closure in court. Rochelle took my phone and blocked the new number. Patricia said not to engage. So don't engage. But the next morning, curiosity got the better of me. Or maybe it was something else. The need to see him one last time without lawyers and legal proceedings. The need to look him in the eye and ask why. I told Rochelle I was going to the grocery store. Then I drove to the coffee shop on Main Street and parked across the street, watching through the window. Raymond was already there, sitting at a corner table, drumming his fingers against the ceramic mug in front of him. He looked terrible. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, hair uncombed. Nothing like the put-together man I'd married. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, debating. Then I pulled out my phone and recorded a voice memo, tucking the phone in my jacket pocket with the recorder still running. If I was going to do this, I'd at least document it. The bell above the door jingled as I entered. Raymond's head snapped up and something like relief crossed his face. You came, he said, standing. I'm not staying long. Please. Sit. Just for a minute. I sat across from him, keeping my jacket on, my purse on my shoulder. Ready to leave at any moment. Thank you for coming, Raymond said. I know you don't owe me anything. But I needed to see you without the lawyers and the accusations and everything else. What do you want, Raymond? I want to explain. Really explain, not the version that's been filtered through lawyers. Okay. Explain. He looked down at his coffee cup. It started at a conference. Candace was working registration and we started talking. She was funny and easy to be around. She didn't expect anything from me. With you, I always felt like I was performing. Like I had to be successful enough, attentive enough, perfect enough. So you cheated on me because I had expectations? No. I cheated on you because I was weak and selfish and stupid. But I want you to understand it wasn't about you. You didn't do anything wrong. I know that, Raymond. I don't need you to tell me that. He looked surprised, like he'd expected that revelation to mean more to me than it did. I love you, he said. I know you don't believe me. But I do. Candace was an escape, a fantasy. You were real. You were my life. Was I? Because it seems like you built a completely separate life that I knew nothing about. So which one was real? The one with me or the one with her? Both. Neither. I don't know. He rubbed his face. I'm messed up, Diane. I know that now. I need help. Therapy. Something. And I want to get that help. But I need you to give me another chance. No. Please. 15 years together has to count for something. It does count for something. It counts as 15 years I wasted on someone who didn't respect me enough to be honest. Raymond's expression shifted. The pleading tone vanished. You're really going to throw everything away? You threw it away when you started lying to me. I gave you a good life. A beautiful home, financial security, social status. What more did you want? I wanted a partner who didn't treat our marriage like a part-time job he resented. You want to punish me? That's what this is really about. No. I want to be free of you. There's a difference. His hands clenched around the coffee cup. Patricia is making you do this. She's put ideas in your head about taking everything I've worked for. Patricia is helping me protect myself from someone who's been stealing from me for years. That money was for us. For our future. No, that money was for you and Candace. I was just the bank account you withdrew from. Raymond stood abruptly. The chair scraped against the floor. Several people looked over. You're making a mistake. When you're sitting in that house alone in 5 years, bitter and angry, remember that I tried to save this. I won't be bitter. I'll be free. I stood too, gathering my purse. Goodbye, Raymond. I walked out before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but my head was clear. That conversation had done exactly what I'd needed it to do. It had shown me that there was no reasoning with Raymond, no closure to be found, no explanation that would make any of this make sense. He was who he was. And I was done trying to understand it. Back in my car, I stopped the recording and texted Patricia. He asked to meet. I went. I recorded it. He admitted to the affair, said it wasn't about me, then got angry when I wouldn't take him back. Recording is available if you need it. Her response came back immediately. Next time don't go. But yes, send me the recording. When I got home, Rochelle was waiting in the driveway, arms crossed. You didn't go to the grocery store. No. Where did you go? To meet Raymond. Diane. Her voice was sharp with anger and worry. I'm fine. I recorded it. And I got the closure I needed. What closure? That he's still a lying, manipulative piece of work. Yes, exactly that. I needed to see that there was nothing left to save. No version of him that was worth forgiving. And now I know for sure. Rochelle pulled me into a hug. Don't do that again. You scared me. I won't. I promise. That night, I listened to the recording before sending it to Patricia. Hearing Raymond's voice, the shift from pleading to angry, the way he tried to manipulate me with guilt and then with blame. It was all there, preserved in audio. Evidence not just for court but for myself. Evidence that leaving was the right choice. The only choice. Patricia filed for temporary orders the next Monday. By Wednesday we had a court date set for the following week. Raymond's lawyer sent an objection, claiming the support amount was excessive and that Raymond needed time in the house to collect his belongings. Absolutely not, Patricia told me over the phone. He had his chance to get his things when you asked him to leave. He chose to take one suitcase. Everything else stays put until the final division of assets. What if he shows up anyway? Then you call the police. You've changed the locks. He has no legal right to enter without permission. The temporary orders hearing was scheduled for Tuesday at 9 a.m. I spent Monday night going over my testimony with Patricia, practicing staying calm when answering questions, learning not to get defensive or emotional. The judge doesn't care about the affair, Patricia explained. Judges see affairs every day. What they care about is the financial misconduct, the forged signatures, the hidden accounts. That's what will determine how this case goes. So I shouldn't mention Candace? Only if asked directly. Don't volunteer it. We want you to look like the stable, reasonable party. Let Raymond's behavior speak for itself. Tuesday morning, Rochelle drove me to the courthouse. We met Patricia in the lobby and she walked me through what to expect. The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined from TV shows, with worn wooden benches and fluorescent lights that made everyone look tired. Raymond was already there with his lawyer. He'd shaved and wore a suit, but he still looked haggard. When I walked in, he didn't look at me. All rise, the bailiff called, and Judge Elizabeth Porter entered. She was in her 60s, with reading glasses on a chain and an expression that suggested she'd seen everything and been impressed by none of it. We're here on temporary orders in the matter of Foster versus Foster, she said, settling into her chair. Counsel for the petitioner? Patricia stood. Patricia Moss, Your Honor, representing Diane Foster. James Whitfield for the respondent, Your Honor. Let's get started. Ms. Moss, your motion? Patricia laid out our requests. $8,000 monthly in temporary support, exclusive use of the marital home, and an order preventing Raymond from accessing joint accounts or taking on new debt in my name. These requests are based on documented income and Mr. Foster's pattern of financial misconduct, Patricia said, handing a stack of documents to the bailiff, who passed them to the judge. including embezzlement from his business, forged signatures on loan applications, and fraudulent credit card accounts opened in Mrs. Foster's name. Judge Porter flipped through the documents, her expression unchanging. "Mr. Whitfield?" Raymond's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, my client disputes the characterization of his income. He's currently facing significant business expenses and debts. $8,000 monthly is not sustainable." "What's his current monthly income?" "Approximately $12,000 after taxes, Your Honor." "And his monthly expenses?" "We estimate around $10,000, including the apartment lease, car payment, insurance, and basic living expenses." "So he'd be left with $2,000 monthly after support?" Judge Porter looked over her glasses at Raymond's lawyer. "That seems more than reasonable, Mr. Whitfield." "Your Honor, there are extenuating circumstances. The dissolution of his business partnership has created financial instability." "Yes, I see that here." She tapped the documents. "The partnership dissolution he precipitated through embezzlement. Is that correct?" Raymond's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. "That's one interpretation, Your Honor." "What's another interpretation of transferring business funds to a personal account without your partner's knowledge?" "We believe those transactions can be explained as legitimate business expenses." "Then I'm sure you'll have documentation of those expenses for the final hearing. In the meantime, I'm granting the temporary orders as requested. $8,000 monthly support, exclusive use of the marital home for Mrs. Foster, and Mr. Foster is prohibited from accessing joint accounts or opening new credit in Mrs. Foster's name." "Your Honor," Raymond's lawyer started, but Judge Porter held up her hand. "Is there something about my order that was unclear, counsel?" "No, Your Honor." "Then we're done here. I'll see you back for the preliminary hearing in 6 weeks." She stood and we all rose as she left the courtroom. Outside in the hallway, Patricia shook my hand. "That went very well." "He has to pay me $8,000 a month?" "Until the divorce is final, yes. And then we'll negotiate permanent support based on the length of the marriage and your earning capacity." Raymond stormed past us with his lawyer hurrying behind him. He didn't look at me, but I heard him say, "This is ridiculous. $8,000 to punish me for being human." Being human. Like having an affair and stealing money was just a minor character flaw everyone should overlook. Rochelle drove me home, stopping at a bakery to buy celebratory cupcakes. "You did it," she said, handing me a chocolate one with vanilla frosting. "You actually did it." "Patricia did it." "No, you did it. You stood up for yourself. You didn't let him manipulate you. You're taking back control of your life." We ate cupcakes in my living room, and for the first time since Trevor had shown up at my door, I felt something like hope. Not happiness yet. The wound was too fresh for that. But hope that maybe I could build something better from the wreckage of my marriage. The first support payment arrived in my account 3 days later. $8,000 right on schedule. It felt surreal seeing that money appear. Proof that this was really happening. That I was really leaving. I used some of it to pay bills Raymond had been covering. The rest I put into a new savings account under only my name. Money that was mine, that I controlled, that no one could take without permission. Rochelle had to go back to her job and her life, but before she left, she made me promise to stay connected, to call if I needed anything, to not isolate myself. "You have a tendency to pull inward when things get hard," she said, hugging me goodbye. "Don't do that. Reach out to friends. Join a group. Do something that gets you out of this house." After she left, the house felt impossibly empty. I wandered from room to room, noticing all the things that were Raymond's. His books on the shelves. His awards on the mantel. His presence in every corner. I started boxing things up. His clothes from the closet. His toiletries from the bathroom. His paperwork from the office. Everything that was his went into boxes that I stacked in the garage. Patricia had said I couldn't throw anything away until the asset division was finalized, but I could get it out of my living space. Each box I packed felt like reclaiming territory. This was my home now. Not our home. What? I'd been avoiding social media since the separation, not ready to deal with questions or judgment. But curiosity finally got the better of me. I opened my accounts and found exactly what I expected. Concerned messages from friends who'd heard rumors, nosy acquaintances fishing for gossip, and worst of all, posts from Raymond trying to control the narrative. Going through a difficult time. Sometimes marriages end, but there's always two sides to every story. #blessed, #moving forward. He'd posted it with a photo of himself looking thoughtful in what appeared to be a coffee shop. 47 likes. Comments offering support and sympathy. No one knew what he'd done. They just saw a man going through a divorce and assumed it was sad and mutual. I could have exposed him. Posted the evidence. Let everyone know exactly why our marriage was ending. But what would that accomplish? The people who mattered knew the truth. Everyone else's opinion was irrelevant. I closed social media and opened my email instead. There was a message from Trevor. Hey, I heard about the temporary orders hearing. Congratulations. If you need anything or just want to talk to someone who understands what you're going through with the divorce proceedings, I'm here. No pressure. Trevor. I stared at that email for a long time before responding. Trevor was kind. He'd been honest when no one else had. But was friendship appropriate when we were both divorcing the same person, in a sense? When our legal cases were intertwined. I wrote back, thank you. I appreciate it. How's your case going? His response came within minutes, slowly. Lots of paperwork and lawyer fees. But we'll get through it. Want to grab coffee sometime? As friends going through similar situations? I thought about it. Then I wrote, maybe in a few weeks. I need to get my bearings first. Understood. The offer stands whenever you're ready. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I painted. There was an easel in the basement from a long ago hobby Raymond had deemed unproductive. I dragged it upstairs, bought some canvases and paints from the art store, and set up in the spare bedroom. I had no plan, no vision. I just put brush to canvas and let whatever was inside me come out. The result was abstract, messy, full of dark blues and angry reds and sudden bursts of yellow. It wasn't good art, but it was mine. I painted for 3 hours, losing track of time completely. When I finally stepped back, my back ached and my hands were cramped, but I felt lighter. Like I'd expelled something poisonous through color and movement. This was what Rochelle had meant. Finding pieces of myself again. Doing things that were mine that Raymond had no part in. Over the next week, I started rebuilding my life in small ways. I joined a pottery class at the community center. I called old friends Raymond had discouraged me from seeing. I applied for part-time jobs in my field, not because I needed the money yet but because I needed purpose. One of those friends, a woman named Bethany I'd known since college, invited me to lunch. We met at a small bistro downtown and she hugged me hard when she saw me. I'm so sorry, she said. I heard rumors but I didn't know if I should reach out. You can always reach out, I said. I'm sorry I disappeared. Raymond was not a fan of my pre-marriage friends. I noticed. I tried to stay in touch at first but you were always busy. I assumed you were happy. I thought I was too. We caught up on years of missed life. Bethany had gotten married, had twins, started her own graphic design business. She was vibrant and busy and living a life that seemed full in ways mine had been empty. What are you going to do now? She asked over salads. Figure out who I am without him, I guess. I've been Raymond's wife for so long, I'm not sure who Diane is anymore. You're smart and talented and deserve so much better than what he gave you. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it's true. And someday you'll believe it. On my way home I stopped at the grocery store. In the produce section I literally ran my cart into someone else's. I'm so sorry, I started then looked up. Trevor smiled at me, one hand on his cart full of frozen dinners and energy drinks. No harm done. We have to stop meeting like this. Do you live near here? About 10 minutes away. You. 15. We stood there awkwardly in the produce section, both of us trying to figure out if this was a chance encounter or something else. The coffee offer still stands, Trevor said. No pressure. But if you want to compare horror stories about divorce proceedings, I'm your guy. I looked at him. Really looked at him. He wasn't trying to fix me or save me. He wasn't pitching me therapy or Jesus or positive thinking. He was just offering company from someone who understood. Okay, I heard myself say. Coffee. But somewhere neutral. Not anywhere Raymond would go. Deal. How about Saturday? There's a place in Lincoln Park. Good coffee, terrible parking, no chance of Raymond showing up. Sounds perfect. We exchanged numbers. As I pushed my cart away, I felt something strange. Not attraction exactly, but connection. The knowledge that someone else understood what it was like to have your life blown apart by someone you trusted. Saturday came and I almost canceled 3 times. But I showed up at the coffee shop in Lincoln Park, and Trevor was already there, 2 coffees on the table and a nervous smile on his face. I got you a latte, he said. I can get something else if you don't like it. Latte's perfect. We talked for 2 hours. About divorce lawyers and court dates and the strange process of untangling a life from someone else's. About loneliness and anger and the weird guilt that came with leaving, even when you knew it was right. About rebuilding and moving forward and learning to trust yourself again. It was the most honest conversation I'd had in years. As I drove home I realized something. I wasn't crying anymore. I wasn't breaking down or falling apart. I was angry sometimes, sad sometimes, but I was also okay. I was going to be okay. 3 weeks after the temporary orders hearing, I was settling into a new routine. Mornings at the pottery studio, afternoons working on contract graphic design projects I'd picked up, evenings painting or reading or occasionally meeting Bethany or Trevor for coffee. Life without Raymond was quieter but somehow fuller. Then Candace showed up at my workplace. I was at my drafting table in the small design firm I'd started contracting for, working on a logo redesign for a local restaurant. My supervisor, Janet, appeared in my doorway with an uncomfortable expression. "Diane, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent." "Who is it?" She said her name is Candace Webb. My hands went still on my sketches. "Tell her I'm not available. She's crying in the lobby. She says she'll wait." I closed my eyes, trying to center myself. "Fine. I'll talk to her. But in the conference room, and I want you nearby in case I need you." Candace was younger than she'd looked in the photos. 26, Trevor had said, and she dressed like it. Ripped jeans, an oversized sweater, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She'd been crying, her mascara smeared, her eyes red and puffy. When I entered the conference room, she stood quickly. "Thank you for seeing me. I know you don't want to, but please, I need to talk to you." "You have 5 minutes," I said, staying by the door. "I'm so sorry. About everything. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted to be that person. But you were that person. You slept with my husband for 2 years. He said you were separated. He showed me fake divorce papers. He said you were fine with it, that you'd both moved on." The words tumbled out quickly. I know that sounds stupid, but I believed him. I trusted him. That's unfortunate. But it's not my problem. Please just listen. He's destroyed my life too. He's been calling me nonstop since you filed for divorce. He's saying terrible things, threatening me, blaming me for ruining everything. Then call the police. He said if I go to the police, he'll tell everyone I knew he was married, that I was trying to break up his family. He'll ruin my reputation. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. I lost my job. My friends won't talk to me. I'm getting hate messages on social media from people I don't even know. I didn't send anyone after you. I know. But somehow word got out about the affair, and now everyone in my life knows. My family is ashamed of me. My roommate wants me to move out. I have nowhere to go. I felt a flicker of something that might have been sympathy. Then I remembered the photos of her and Raymond laughing together at restaurants I'd never been to, wearing jewelry I'd never received. "What do you want from me, Candace?" "I don't know. Understanding? Forgiveness? Help." She wiped her face with her sleeve. "We're both victims here. He lied to both of us. He used both of us. Can't we at least talk about it? Figure out together what to do?" "No. But we could help each other. We could support each other through this." "You want us to bond over being betrayed by the same man?" I shook my head. "That's not going to happen." "Why not?" "We're both hurting. We both trusted him and got destroyed. Because our situations are not the same, Candace. You had an affair with a married man. I don't care what lies he told you at the beginning. You found out he was married 6 months ago and you stayed. That was your choice. I loved him. So did I. The difference is I had a legal and moral right to that love. You didn't." Her face crumpled. "You're right. I'm a terrible person. I deserve all of this. I'm not here to judge you. But I'm also not here to comfort you or help you or fix the mess you helped create. You need to deal with Raymond on your own. Just like I'm dealing with him on my own. Can you at least tell me what to do about the threats? Document everything. Save every call, text, and voicemail. If he's threatening you, file a police report. Get a restraining order. But do it yourself. I'm not your ally in this." He said you'd be like this. Cold. Heartless. That stung more than I wanted to admit. "Did he also tell you that he forged my signature to steal $300,000 from our house? That he opened credit cards in my name and maxed them out? That he embezzled from his business?" Candace's eyes widened. "What? No? He left out those parts? How convenient." I stood. "I'm done here. Please leave my workplace and don't contact me again." "Wait, what do you mean he stole from you?" "He said he was wealthy. That money was never an issue. He lied. About everything. To both of us." I opened the conference room door. "Janet will show you out." I walked back to my desk, my hands shaking. Janet appeared a few minutes later. "She's gone. Are you okay?" "Yes. No. I don't know." I sat down heavily in my chair. She wanted me to help her deal with Raymond. Like we're in this together somehow. That's wild. You don't owe her anything. I know. So why do I feel guilty? Because you're a decent person. But she made her choices. You're allowed to protect yourself. That afternoon, I called Patricia and told her about Candace's visit. That's concerning, Patricia said. If Raymond is threatening her, he might escalate. And if Candace gets desperate, she might try to cause problems for you. What kind of problems? Showing up at your house. Contacting your friends or family. Posting things online. People in her position sometimes lash out at the wife instead of the husband. What should I do? Document that she came to your workplace. If she contacts you again, don't engage. And consider filing for a restraining order if she becomes persistent. A restraining order feels extreme. So did her showing up at your job. Better to be prepared. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Candace. She was young and foolish and had made terrible choices. But she was also clearly suffering. Raymond had destroyed her life just like he tried to destroy mine. Was I wrong not to help her? Was I being cruel? I called Trevor and asked him to meet me for coffee. He showed up within an hour at a place near my house, concern on his face. What's wrong? He asked immediately. I told him about Candace's visit. He listened without interrupting, nodding occasionally. What do you think I should have done? I asked when I finished. Exactly what you did, he said without hesitation. You set boundaries. You protected yourself. That's healthy. But she's suffering. So are you. So am I. So is everyone Raymond has touched. That doesn't mean you're responsible for fixing her. She's so young. She's 26, not 16. She's an adult who made adult choices. Yes, Raymond lied to her. But she chose to believe those lies even when the truth was obvious. You think I'm being heartless? I think you're being smart. Candace wants to make you complicit in her healing. That's not your job. Trevor stirred his coffee. Can I tell you something? Sure. My ex-wife tried the same thing. After everything fell apart, she wanted us to be friends. She wanted me to understand why she cheated, to forgive her, to help her through the breakup of her relationship with my former best friend. She wanted me to validate her choices. What did you do? I said no. Because I realized she didn't want genuine reconciliation. She wanted absolution. She wanted me to say what she'd done was okay so she could stop feeling guilty. Is that what Candace wants? Probably. She wants you to tell her she's not a bad person. That it wasn't her fault. That Raymond is the only villain here. Trevor looked at me steadily. But you're not obligated to give her that peace. She needs to find it herself. I sat with that for a moment. Thank you. For what? For understanding. For not making me feel like a monster. You're not a monster. You're a woman protecting herself. There's a difference. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, drinking our coffee and watching people pass by the window. How's your divorce going? I asked eventually. Messy. Raymond's fighting the business dissolution at every turn. My lawyer says we'll probably end up in front of a judge. I'm sorry you got dragged into all this. I'm not. If I'd stayed quiet, he'd still be stealing from me. And you'd still be in the dark. Sometimes the mess is worth it to get to the truth. On my drive home, I felt more settled. Trevor was right. I didn't owe Candace my help or my forgiveness. I owed myself protection and healing. But the universe wasn't done testing me. The next day, I received a Facebook message from Candace. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I have information about Raymond that you need to know. Things he's hiding that could affect your divorce. Please give me a chance to explain. I stared at that message for a long time. Was it a trap? A manipulation? Or did she genuinely have information that could help my case? I forwarded it to Patricia. Her response was immediate. Do not respond. If she has information, she can provide it through proper legal channels. Do not engage directly. I followed Patricia's advice. I didn't respond. But I couldn't stop wondering what information Candace thought she had. What else was Raymond hiding? That question was answered 2 days later when Patricia called with news. Candace's lawyer contacted me, she said. Apparently, Raymond has been threatening her if she talks to investigators. She's willing to testify about financial transactions she witnessed, including Raymond pressuring her to hide money for him. She has a lawyer now? Yes. Someone who specializes in cases involving financial coercion. Candace is claiming Raymond manipulated her into helping him hide assets. Did she? According to her lawyer, yes. She says Raymond gave her cash to deposit in her personal accounts, telling her it was for taxes. She kept detailed records because she was nervous about it. My head spun. How much money? Over $200,000 over the past year. Money Raymond was planning to claim he'd lost through bad investments. Can we use this? Absolutely. If Candace testifies, it destroys Raymond's claims about his financial situation. It proves he was hiding assets systematically. Why is she doing this? I thought she loved him. According to her lawyer, Raymond threatened to kill her if she talked. She went to the police. They advised her to cooperate fully with any civil proceedings and they'd consider protective custody. I sat down hard on my couch. Raymond had threatened to kill someone. My husband of 15 years. The man who'd promised to love and protect me. Does this change my case? I asked. It transforms it. We're no longer just talking about an affair and some questionable financial decisions. We're talking about systematic fraud, money laundering, and criminal threats. Raymond is in serious trouble. After I hung up, I sat in my living room staring at nothing. This was so much bigger than I'd imagined. So much worse than betrayal and lies. Raymond was dangerous. Patricia had been right to warn me to be careful. This wasn't just a messy divorce anymore. This was criminal. That night, I made sure every door was locked. Every window secure. I kept my phone charged and nearby. And for the first time since this all began, I felt genuinely afraid. Not sad. Not hurt. Afraid. Because the man I'd lived with for 15 years was someone I'd never known at all. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning in early spring. I'd been preparing for weeks, meeting with Patricia to go over testimony, reviewing documents until my eyes blurred, trying to keep my nerves under control. The night before, I barely slept. I kept thinking about seeing Raymond in court, about having to answer questions about our marriage, about the possibility that somehow his lawyer would twist everything and make me look unreasonable. Rochelle drove up the night before to be there for moral support. She made me eat breakfast and helped me choose an outfit. A navy dress with a matching jacket, professional but not trying too hard. You look strong, she said, adjusting my collar. You look like someone who knows exactly what she's doing. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's normal. Just remember you're telling the truth. He's the one who has to scramble to cover his lies. We met Patricia at the courthouse at 8:30 a.m. She looked cool and collected in a charcoal suit, her briefcase heavy with evidence. Candace is testifying today, she told me quietly. Her lawyer got her on the schedule. Raymond doesn't know yet. Will I have to see her? Probably. But you don't have to talk to her. Just focus on your own testimony. The courtroom was the same one from the temporary orders hearing. Judge Porter was already seated, looking through paperwork. Raymond sat with his lawyer at the respondent's table. He'd lost weight since I'd last seen him, his suit hanging loose on his frame. He didn't look at me when I entered. All parties present? Judge Porter asked. Good. Let's begin. Ms. Moss, you're the petitioner. You may call your first witness. Patricia stood. The petitioner calls Diane Foster. I walked to the witness stand, my legs feeling disconnected from my body. The bailiff swore me in and I sat down, my hands folded in my lap to keep them from shaking. Patricia approached. Please state your name for the record. Diane Catherine Foster. And how long were you married to the respondent, Raymond Foster? 15 years. We were married in April 2010. During your marriage, were you employed? Initially, yes. I worked as a graphic designer. But Raymond asked me to quit 6 years ago to focus on supporting his career and managing our household. Did you receive any income during the years you weren't employed? No. We lived on Raymond's income from his business partnership. Patricia walked me through our financial situation. The joint accounts, the house, the cars. Then she moved to the critical part. Mrs. Foster, when did you first learn about your husband's relationship with Candace Webb? January 10th. His business partner, Trevor Hayes, came to my house with evidence. What was your reaction? Shock. Disbelief. Then I looked at the evidence and it was undeniable. Did you know about this relationship before that day? No. I had no idea. Did you know about the apartment Raymond was renting in the city? No. Did you know about the credit cards he opened in your name? No. Did you sign any documents authorizing a home equity line of credit on your marital residence? No, I did not. Patricia showed me the loan application with my forged signature. I confirmed it wasn't my signature. She showed me credit card statements for accounts I'd never opened. I confirmed I'd never seen them before. Raymond's lawyer, James Whitfield, tried his best during cross-examination. He implied I must have known about the credit cards. He suggested I'd been financially irresponsible and Raymond was trying to protect assets. He insinuated I was exaggerating the affair to gain advantage in the divorce. Patricia had prepared me for all of it. I answered calmly, clearly, never getting defensive or emotional. Mrs. Foster, isn't it true that you and your husband had significant arguments about money? We had discussions. I wouldn't characterize them as significant arguments. Didn't you want to spend large amounts on home renovations that Mr. Foster felt were unnecessary? I wanted to update the kitchen. He insisted on renovating the entire house at 3 times the cost I'd suggested. Isn't it true you knew about his relationship with Ms. Webb and only became upset when you realized he was planning to end your marriage? That's completely false. I had no knowledge of their relationship until Trevor Hayes showed me evidence. How convenient that Mr. Hayes, who has his own grudge against my client, happened to provide you with this information. Objection, Patricia said. Counsel is testifying. Sustained, Judge Porter said. Mr. Whitfield, stick to questions. After I stepped down, Patricia called Trevor to the stand. He testified about discovering the embezzlement, about the apartment, about Raymond's pattern of lies. Whitfield tried to paint him as a bitter business partner seeking revenge, but Trevor remained calm and factual. Then Patricia called Candace. She walked into the courtroom looking terrified, wearing a simple black dress and no makeup. She didn't look at Raymond or me. She kept her eyes on her lawyer, who sat in the front row. Please state your name for the record. Candace Marie Webb. And how do you know Raymond Foster? I was in a relationship with him for approximately 2 years. Did you know he was married? Not at first. He told me he was divorced. I found out the truth about 6 months ago. What did you do when you found out? I confronted him. He said the divorce wasn't final yet, that there were complications, that Diane knew about me and was fine with it. Was that true? No. I know that now. Patricia walked Candace through her testimony carefully. The apartment they'd shared. The gifts Raymond had bought her. Then the critical part, the money. Did Raymond ever ask you to help him with financial transactions? Yes. He said he needed to move money for tax purposes. He gave me cash to deposit in my account and then transfer to certain accounts he specified. How much money? Over $200,000 total. A murmur went through the courtroom. Judge Porter looked over her glasses at Raymond, who'd gone pale. Did you keep records of these transactions? Yes. I was nervous about it, so I took photos of the cash before I deposited it and saved all the transfer confirmations. Patricia entered the evidence. Photographs of cash. Bank statements showing deposits and transfers. A paper trail that directly contradicted Raymond's claims about his financial situation. Whitfield's cross-examination was brutal. He accused Candace of being a willing participant in fraud. He suggested she was lying to protect herself from criminal charges. He implied she was being coached by Patricia. Candace cried through most of it. But she didn't change her story. She admitted she'd made mistakes. She admitted she should have questioned things. But she maintained that Raymond had manipulated her into helping him hide money. When she finally stepped down, she glanced at me once. I didn't smile or nod or acknowledge her. I just looked away. Raymond testified in his own defense. He claimed he'd been the victim of a business partner's betrayal. He said Candace was lying about the money to get revenge after he'd broken up with her. He insisted I'd known about the credit cards and must have forgotten I'd signed the loan application. My wife is suffering from emotional distress, he said. She's not remembering things clearly. With proper counseling, I believe she'd realize that our marriage can be saved. It was a performance. Calculated, rehearsed, designed to make me look unstable and him look concerned. But Patricia dismantled it with evidence. Documents proving I couldn't have signed the loan application because I was out of state on that date. Credit card statements showing purchases I'd never made. Bank records proving Raymond had systematically hidden money. By the time everyone had testified, it was after 4 p.m. Judge Porter looked exhausted. I'll take this under advisement, she said. I'll issue a written ruling within 2 weeks. In the meantime, the temporary orders remain in effect. Outside the courthouse, Patricia put a hand on my shoulder. You did great in there. Did we win? We presented a strong case. The evidence is overwhelming. But judges are unpredictable. We wait. Rochelle drove me home. I felt wrung out, exhausted in a way that went bone deep. What happens now? She asked. We wait for the ruling. Then either we settle or we go to trial. Do you think he'll settle? I don't know. Part of him has to see that he's going to lose. But he's also desperate and cornered. Desperate people don't always make rational choices. That night I painted. Dark colors, violent strokes, anger channeled onto canvas. I painted until my arms ached and my head cleared. Then I showered and fell into bed, finally sleeping deeply for the first time in weeks. 2 weeks later, on a Tuesday afternoon, Patricia called. "We have Judge Porter's ruling." My hands went numb. "And?" "Complete victory. Full support, complete asset division in your favor, and the judge noted Raymond's pattern of fraud and deception. She's recommending the district attorney review the case for potential criminal charges." I sat down slowly on my couch. "We won." "You won. Completely. What happens now?" "Raymond has 30 days to respond. He can accept the ruling or he can appeal. If he appeals, we go through the process again at a higher court. If he accepts, we move to final settlement." "Will he appeal?" "His lawyer will probably advise him to. But appeals are expensive. And the evidence against him is overwhelming. My guess is he'll try to negotiate a settlement." "I don't want to negotiate. I want this over." "Then we hold firm. We have all the leverage. Let him be the one to decide if he wants to keep fighting a battle he's already lost." That evening, I opened a bottle of wine Rochelle had left in my fridge. I poured a glass and stood in my living room, looking around at the house that was finally, truly mine. The phone rang. "Trevor. I heard about the ruling," he said. "Congratulations." "Thank you. How's your case going?" "We reached a settlement last week. I'm buying Raymond out of his share of the business. It's costing me, but it's worth it to be free of him." "So it's really over?" "Almost. Once the paperwork is signed." "How are you feeling?" "Relieved. Exhausted. Angry still, but less so. Mostly I just feel like I can finally breathe." "That's good. That's really good." We talked for a while longer about nothing important. When I hung up, I realized I was smiling. Actually smiling, not the forced expression I'd been wearing for weeks, but genuine lightness. I'd survived. I was surviving. And slowly, painfully, I was starting to heal. Raymond didn't appeal. 2 weeks after Judge Porter's ruling, his lawyer contacted Patricia with a settlement offer. He'd accept the terms if I agreed to keep the case details confidential and wouldn't pursue criminal charges. "Absolutely not," I told Patricia. "I'm not protecting him. If the district attorney wants to press charges, that's their choice, not mine. Even if it means he could go to prison? Especially if it means that he committed crimes, Patricia. Against me and against Trevor and probably against other people we don't even know about. He should face consequences." We rejected the offer. Raymond's lawyer tried 3 more times with variations on the same theme. He'd accept the financial terms if I'd agree to silence. Each time I said no. "He doesn't get to steal from me for years and then buy my silence," I told Patricia. "I won't pursue charges actively, but I won't stop anyone else from doing so either." Finally, Raymond's lawyer called Patricia with a different message. His client was accepting the terms as written. No conditions. No negotiations. "He's giving up," Patricia said. "Completely." "Why?" "Because he's out of money to keep fighting. Because every lawyer he's consulted has told him he'll lose. Because the district attorney's office is looking into the case regardless of what you do." The divorce was finalized on a Wednesday morning in April. I stood in Judge Porter's courtroom one last time, listened to her read the final decree, and watched my marriage legally end. Raymond wasn't there. His lawyer appeared on his behalf, looking relieved to be done with the case. "Congratulations," Patricia said afterwards, shaking my hand outside the courthouse. "You're officially divorced." "How do I feel about that?" "However you feel. There's no right or wrong way to feel about the end of a marriage." I drove home alone, not crying or celebrating, just existing in the moment. 15 years were officially over. The future was officially mine. Back home, I sat in my living room and called Rochelle. "It's done. You're divorced." "I'm divorced." "How do you feel?" "Free," I said, and realized it was true. I feel free. Over the next month, I focused on rebuilding. The pottery class became a weekly ritual. I took on more graphic design contracts, building a client base and a reputation. I started going to a yoga class where no one knew anything about my divorce. I also started therapy. Not because I was falling apart, but because I wanted to understand how I'd stayed so long with someone who'd been betraying me. How I'd missed the signs. How I could trust myself again. "You weren't stupid or naive," my therapist, Dr. Sharon Rodriguez, told me in our 3rd session. "You were trusting. There's a difference. But how do I trust again? How do I know I'm not making the same mistakes?" By learning to trust yourself first. By listening to your instincts. By recognizing the warning signs you might have dismissed before. I don't know if I want another relationship. Maybe I'm better off alone. That's okay too. You don't have to decide right now. You just have to focus on healing and rebuilding. I took her advice. I focused on myself, on rediscovering who I was outside of being Raymond's wife. I sold my wedding ring and used the money for a trip to San Francisco, somewhere I'd always wanted to visit but Raymond had refused to go. I spent a week walking through the city alone, eating at restaurants I chose, seeing museums and galleries at my own pace. It was liberating. Frightening sometimes, being completely responsible for my own happiness, but also beautiful in its simplicity. When I came home, Bethany invited me to a dinner party. Just friends, very casual. No pressure. I almost said no. Social events still felt overwhelming, full of questions I didn't want to answer. But I forced myself to go. The dinner was at Bethany's house, 8 people around her dining table, good food and easy conversation. No one asked about my divorce. Bethany had clearly briefed everyone. Instead, we talked about books and movies and travel plans. One of the guests, a man named Paul, worked in architecture. We ended up in an hour-long conversation about design principles that left both of us energized and laughing. We should get coffee sometime, he said as the party was breaking up. Talk more about design. Maybe, I said carefully. I'm not really dating right now. I didn't mean as a date. Just as fellow design nerds. Oh, then yes, that would be nice. We exchanged numbers. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. Trevor called the next day. I wanted to let you know I'm moving. Starting fresh somewhere new. Where? Boston. I got a job offer at a consulting firm there. Fresh start, new city, no Raymond-related baggage. I'm happy for you. Thanks. And Diane? For what it's worth, you're one of the strongest people I've ever met. I don't feel strong. That's what makes it true. You did the hard thing even when it hurt. That's strength. After we hung up, I thought about what he'd said. About strength and fresh starts. About the possibility of truly leaving the past behind. I wasn't ready to move to a new city or change everything about my life. But I was ready to keep moving forward. I bought a smaller house across town, something that was entirely mine with no memories of Raymond. It took 6 weeks to close and moving day was chaotic and exhausting. But when I finally stood in the empty living room of my new place, keys in hand, I felt something shift inside me. This was mine. Not ours. Mine. I decorated slowly, carefully, choosing pieces that reflected who I was, not who Raymond wanted me to be. Bright colors. Abstract art. A pottery wheel in the spare bedroom. Bookshelves filled with books I'd always wanted to read but never had time for. My sister visited for the housewarming. She brought flowers and wine and stood in the middle of my living room with tears in her eyes. I'm so proud of you, she said. For what? Getting divorced. For surviving. For rebuilding. For becoming yourself again. I'm not sure who myself is yet. That's okay. You have time to figure it out. I started dating casually. Nothing serious, just coffee dates with people I met through friends or work. Paul from Bethany's dinner party became a good friend. We went to museums together, talked about design projects, and never once crossed the line into romance. You know I like you, he said one afternoon over coffee. But I get that you're not ready. And I value the friendship too much to push. Thank you, I said, meaning it. For understanding. For not making me feel broken. You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. I had coffee with Trevor before he moved to Boston. We sat in our usual spot, drinking lattes and talking about our respective futures. Are you going to date in Boston? I asked. Eventually. Maybe. I'm not in a hurry. He smiled. What about you? Any prospects? A few casual dates. Nothing serious. I'm not sure I want serious for a long time. That's probably healthy. Take your time. There's no rush. Do you ever wonder what happened to Candace? I asked suddenly. Trevor looked surprised. Sometimes. Why? I don't know. She was so young. So lost. I wonder if she's okay. You're allowed to wonder that and still not be responsible for her. I know. It's just strange. She was part of this horrible thing in my life, but she was also another one of Raymond's victims. A victim who made choices, though. Remember that. I nodded. I did remember. Candace had made choices just like I was making choices now. The difference was I was choosing healing and growth. I hoped she was too, but it wasn't my responsibility to ensure it. 6 months after my divorce was finalized, I ran into Raymond at a coffee shop downtown. He looked terrible. Thin, gray, aged 10 years and less than 1. He saw me before I could leave. Diane, he said, approaching me. Can we talk? Just for a minute? No, I said firmly. We have nothing to discuss. Please. I need you to know how sorry I am. I've been going to therapy, working on myself. I know I destroyed everything, but I want you to know I recognize that now. I'm glad you're getting help. But I don't need your apology. I'm facing criminal charges. The district attorney filed them last month. Fraud, embezzlement, identity theft. I might go to prison. I'm aware. My lawyer keeps me updated. Do you feel good about that? Knowing I might lose my freedom? I feel nothing about it, Raymond. You committed crimes. You're facing consequences. That's how justice works. I loved you, he said. I still do. I know you don't believe that, but it's true. What you called love was control, manipulation, possession. That's not love. That's ego. I'm a broken person who made terrible choices. Doesn't that deserve some compassion? Maybe. But not from me. I gave you 15 years of compassion and trust. You don't get any more. I walked out without waiting for his response. My hands were shaking, but my head was clear. That closure I'd been seeking months ago? I finally had it. Not from Raymond's apology or explanation, but from my own certainty that I'd made the right choice. He was no longer my problem. He was no longer my concern. He was just someone I used to know. That night I painted again. But this time the colors were brighter. The strokes were lighter. The image emerging was abstract but hopeful, full of blues and greens and sudden bursts of yellow. It wasn't pretty, but it was honest, and it was mine. The criminal trial began in September, 9 months after my divorce was finalized. Wasn't required to testify, but the prosecutor contacted me to let me know I could attend if I wanted. Do you think I should? I asked Dr. Rodriguez during therapy. That depends. What would attending give you? Closure? Vindication? I don't know. Do you feel like you need those things from a courtroom? I thought about it. Did I need to see Raymond face the consequences of his actions? Or had I already moved past needing external validation of my choices? No, I said finally. I don't need to be there. I already know what he did. A jury confirming it won't change anything for me. So I didn't attend. But I followed the news coverage. Raymond's trial made local headlines. Prominent businessman accused of fraud and embezzlement. The details emerged piece by piece. The money he'd stolen from Trevor. The forged signatures. The credit card fraud. The threats against Candace. It was worse than I'd even known. The prosecution revealed Raymond had been running similar schemes for years, dating back before our marriage. He'd defrauded previous business partners. He'd stolen from his own parents. He'd left a trail of victims stretching back over a decade. How did I not see it? I asked Bethany over lunch one day. Because he was good at hiding it. Because you trusted him. Because that's what con artists do. They're excellent liars. But for 15 years? Diane, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're not stupid for being lied to. He's reprehensible for lying. Stop blaming yourself for his choices. She was right. I'd been going in circles with this for months. Wondering what I'd missed, how I'd been so blind, what I could have done differently. But the truth was simpler. Raymond was a skilled manipulator who'd made a career of deceiving people. I was just one more person on his list. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Trevor testified. Candace testified. Multiple other victims came forward, people I'd never heard of, each with their own story of how Raymond had conned them. The jury deliberated for 2 days. Patricia called me with the verdict. Guilty on all counts. I sat down on my couch, phone pressed to my ear. All of them? Fraud, embezzlement, identity theft, making criminal threats. The judge will sentence him next month, but we're looking at significant prison time. How much? Minimum 8 years. Possibly as much as 15. I didn't know what to feel. Relief that he'd been held accountable? Sadness that it had come to this? Anger that he'd wasted so many lives? Thank you for letting me know, I said. How are you doing with all this? I'm okay. Actually okay. Is that strange? No. You've had almost a year to process. The trial outcome was expected. You've already done your grieving and healing. After we hung up, I called Rochelle. Raymond was found guilty. Good. He deserves worse, but at least it's something. Do I feel good about this? I can't tell if I feel good about this. You feel whatever you feel. There's no right way to react to your ex-husband going to prison. I mostly feel nothing. Is that bad? That's probably the healthiest response. He's not your responsibility anymore. Not your problem. You've moved on. And I had moved on. That was the surprising part. Raymond's trial and conviction felt distant, like something happening to someone else. I was busy with my own life now. My consulting business was thriving. I'd taken on 3 long-term clients and was considering hiring help. I'd sold 2 paintings at a local gallery showing. My pottery had improved to the point where I was actually making functional pieces. I was happy. Not in the loud, dramatic way movies portrayed happiness, but in a quiet, steady way that felt sustainable. The sentencing hearing was scheduled for October 15th. This time I did attend. Not for Raymond but for me. I wanted to see the official end of this chapter. The courtroom was packed with victims. Trevor sat in the front row. Candace was there too, looking older than her 27 years, her lawyer beside her. Raymond's parents were present, both of them crying quietly. I felt a pang of sympathy for them. They'd lost a son to his own choices. That couldn't be easy. Raymond was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking small and defeated. He'd aged dramatically over the past year. Gray hair, deep lines, a defeated slope to his shoulders. Several victims gave impact statements. Trevor spoke about the business he'd nearly lost. A woman I didn't recognize talked about how Raymond had stolen her retirement savings. An elderly couple described losing their home because of Raymond's schemes. Each story was devastating. Each one showed another life Raymond had damaged for his own gain. When it was my turn, I walked to the podium. Raymond looked at me and I saw something like hope in his eyes. Like maybe I'd say something that would help him. Your Honor, I began, my voice steady. Raymond Foster was my husband for 15 years. I thought I knew him. I thought we were building a life together. But I didn't know him at all. The man I thought I married didn't exist. I looked directly at Raymond. You stole from me. Not just money but time. Trust. 15 years of my life that I can never get back. You made me doubt myself, my judgment, my worth. You damaged my credit, my reputation, my ability to trust others. But here's what you didn't steal. You didn't steal my resilience. You didn't steal my ability to rebuild. And you didn't steal my future. I'm moving forward. I'm healing. I'm building a life that's actually mine, not a fiction you created. I don't forgive you. Maybe someday I will, for my own peace. But today I just want you to understand the scope of what you've done. Not just to me but to every person in this room. You've left a trail of destruction that will take years to fully repair. I hope you use your time in prison to genuinely reflect on your choices. To become someone who values honesty and respects other people. But whether you do or don't, I'll be fine. Because you don't control my story anymore. I walked back to my seat. My hands were shaking but my heart felt light. Judge Porter sentenced Raymond to 12 years in prison. He stood there, expressionless, as she explained his sentence. 12 years for fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft. He'd be eligible for parole in 8. As they led him away, Raymond looked back at me one last time. I didn't look away. I just watched him go, feeling nothing but relief that this chapter was finally, completely closed. Outside the courthouse, Trevor found me. That was a powerful statement. Thank you. It needed to be said. Are you okay? Yeah. Actually, I really am. Candace approached us hesitantly. She looked nervous, like she expected me to yell at her. Diane, I just wanted to say thank you. For not making things harder for me than they already were. And I'm sorry. For everything. I hope you've learned from this, I said. I hope you make better choices going forward. I am. I'm in therapy. I got a new job in a different city. Starting over completely. That's good. Really? She nodded and walked away. I watched her go, feeling neither anger nor sympathy. Just a mild wish that she'd find whatever she was looking for. Coffee? Trevor asked. Actually, I have plans. Rain check. Sure. Take care of yourself, Diane. You too. I drove home through the autumn afternoon, the leaves turning gold and red, the air crisp with the promise of winter. My phone buzzed with texts from friends checking in, offering support, wanting to know how the sentencing went. I'd answer them later. Right now, I just wanted to drive in silence, processing the fact that this was really, truly over. Raymond was going to prison. I was free. The future was open and mine to shape however I wanted. When I got home, I changed into comfortable clothes and went to my pottery studio. I had a commission piece to finish, a set of bowls for a client's anniversary gift. I lost myself in the rhythm of the work, the clay spinning under my hands, taking shape according to my vision. This was my life now. Simple. Honest. Mine. And it was enough. 1 year after Raymond's sentencing, I hosted a dinner party at my house. Not a celebration of my divorce or his conviction, just a gathering of people who'd become important to me in this new chapter. Bethany and her husband arrived first, bringing wine and flowers. Paul came next with his girlfriend, someone he'd met through his architecture firm. Rochelle drove up from her city with a homemade cake. Even Trevor flew in from Boston, where he'd built a successful new career. We sat around my dining table, passing dishes and sharing stories and laughing in a way that felt easy and genuine. This was what family looked like, I realized. Not blood relations or legal contracts, but people who chose to show up for each other. "Tell us about the gallery showing," Bethany said. "When is it?" "Next month. They're featuring my pottery and paintings together. It's small, just a local gallery, but they're giving me an entire wall." "That's amazing," Trevor said. "I'll fly back for it if you want." "You don't have to do that." "I want to. You've worked hard for this. It should be celebrated." My consulting business had grown beyond what I'd imagined. I'd hired 2 part-time designers to help with the workload. The income was stable and enough to support myself comfortably. But more importantly, the work was mine. I chose the clients. I set the hours. I made every decision. After dinner, we moved to the living room. Rochelle pulled out the cake, which had "New Beginnings" written across it in blue icing. "I know it's cheesy," she said, "but I thought you deserved something sweet to mark the occasion." "What occasion?" "The 1-year anniversary of the sentencing. The official end of the Raymond chapter. And the beginning of the Diane chapter," Bethany added. We ate cake and talked late into the night. At one point, I stepped out onto my back porch, needing a moment of quiet. The November air was cold but refreshing. I could see stars above the city lights, bright and clear. Trevor joined me, handing me a blanket. "You've built a good life here." "I have. It's smaller than what I had with Raymond, but it's real. That makes all the difference." "Any regrets?" "About leaving him?" "No." "About the years I spent not seeing who he really was?" "Sometimes. But I'm working on accepting that those years taught me things I needed to learn." "Like what?" "Like the difference between being alone and being lonely. Like the importance of trusting myself. Like recognizing that love isn't supposed to make you feel small. That's wisdom earned the hard way. The only way it sticks." We stood in comfortable silence for a while. Then Trevor said, "I've been seeing someone in Boston. It's new but it's good. She knows my whole story, and she's patient with the fact that trust doesn't come easy anymore." "I'm happy for you." "Really? What about you? Have you started dating seriously?" "I've had a few relationships. Nothing that's stuck yet, but I'm not worried about it. For the first time in my adult life, I'm okay being single. If the right person comes along, great. If not, I have a full life anyway." "That's healthy." "It took a lot of therapy to get here," I laughed. Inside, I could hear the others laughing at something Rochelle said. The sound made me smile. This house, smaller than the one I'd shared with Raymond but full of warmth and genuine connection, was more of a home than that showcase mansion had ever been. The gallery showing came and went successfully. Several pieces sold. A local magazine did a feature on my journey from corporate wife to independent artist. I gave an interview talking about finding creativity after crisis, though I kept the details of Raymond's crimes private. "Why don't you talk about what he did?" the interviewer asked. "Because that's his story, not mine. My story is about what I built after. That's what matters." The interview went viral locally. I got messages from women going through similar situations, asking for advice. I responded to each one with the same message: document everything, protect yourself legally, and remember that leaving is brave, not cruel. In December, I got a letter from Raymond. The prison's return address made my stomach clench. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity got the better of me. "Dear Diane, I know I don't deserve your attention or your forgiveness. I've spent the past year in therapy trying to understand why I did the things I did. The answer is complicated and doesn't excuse any of it. I was a broken person playing a role I thought I was supposed to play. Successful businessman. Devoted husband. Respected member of society. But inside I felt like a fraud, so I became one in every way. You deserved better than what I gave you. You deserved honesty and respect and real partnership. I'm sorry I couldn't be that person. I don't expect you to write back or forgive me. I just wanted you to know that your impact statement was the first time anyone made me actually see the harm I'd caused. I'm trying to change. To become someone who could deserve forgiveness someday. I hope you're happy. I hope you found peace. You always were the strongest person I knew, even when I was trying to convince you otherwise. Raymond." I read the letter twice. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. I might respond someday or I might not. But for now, I just wanted to sit with the fact that I felt nothing but a distant hope that he was being honest about wanting to change. He wasn't my responsibility anymore. His growth or lack of it wasn't my concern. I built my own life and it was good. In January, exactly 2 years after Trevor had shown up at my door with evidence of Raymond's betrayal, I threw myself a party. Not a pity party or a divorce party, but a celebration of survival and rebuilding. I invited everyone who'd supported me through the past 2 years. We filled my house with food and music and laughter. At midnight, I stood on a chair with a glass of champagne and made a toast. 2 years ago, my life fell apart. I thought I'd never recover. I thought I'd be bitter and broken forever. But look at us now. Look at this house full of people who chose to be here, who showed up when things were hard, who believed I was worth supporting. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. That woman was scared and dependent and willing to ignore red flags for the sake of stability. This woman knows her worth. This woman chooses herself. This woman is building a life that's entirely her own. So thank you for being part of this journey, for helping me remember who I am, for reminding me that love shouldn't diminish you, it should expand you, and for showing me that endings can be beginnings if you're brave enough to see them that way. Everyone cheered. Rochelle was crying happy tears. Bethany hugged me. Trevor raised his glass from across the room. After everyone left and I'd cleaned up the mess, I stood in my living room looking at my art on the walls. Bold colors. Imperfect shapes. Honest expression of everything I'd felt over the past 2 years. My phone buzzed with a text from Paul. Proud of you, friend. You've come so far. I smiled and typed back, thanks for being part of the journey. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed, content in a way I'd never been during my 15 years with Raymond. Because this life, this messy, imperfect, completely mine life, was everything I'd never known I needed. The next morning, I woke up early and went to my pottery studio. I had a new project in mind, a series of bowls representing different stages of transformation. I started with dark clay, heavy and rough. By the end of the series, I'd work with lighter materials, smoother finishes, pieces that caught and reflected light. It was a metaphor maybe too obvious, but it was true. I'd been broken and remade. I'd been shaped by fire and pressure into something stronger than I'd been before. And I was finally, completely, joyfully myself. As I worked, I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the divorce, the trial, the rebuilding. It had been the hardest 2 years of my life. But they'd also been the most important. Because they'd taught me that I could survive anything. That I was stronger than I'd ever imagined. That happiness didn't require another person's validation. I was enough. All by myself I was enough. And that knowledge, hard-won and precious, was worth more than any marriage built on lies ever could have been.